I'm currently in a house in Salt Lake City. My significant other has a rental house up here and is trying to get rid of it. And so we're fixing it up and getting ready to sell it. So we're up here working, and I apologize for the acoustics being pretty crappy because I am in a kitchen, in a dining room, and literally there's no soft areas in this house. It's very empty. So we'll have to just play with the acoustics here. But let's talk real quick about 2018. I learned a lot of things, and I've grown a lot through this, and I want to just be vulnerable for a minute and tell you about some of the things I have learned and where I have come from and where I've gone. Because 2018 was kind of a breakthrough year for me in a lot of ways. I didn't meet all my goals, but I surpassed some of my other ones. I surprised myself, and I took areas and turns where I didn't think I was going to go to. So without further ado, let me tell you a little bit about this. Are you ready? Pull up a chair. This is not going to be as interesting as I'm making it out to be. But maybe some of you will find something interesting about this. So as a lot of you know, I founded a course called the Triple Threat Artist, and I launched it in February of this year. And so it's been 11 months, and it has just been an amazing, amazing experience. It now has 30 active students in it that I know quite well, almost every single one of them. And they are awesome, and I've seen huge growth in their life, and we have an amazing community, and I am so, so thankful for this. It has been an amazing journey for me. So the 11 months of success, it's been slow growing. It took a little time to get started, to get the word out, to show people that they could benefit from it. Because, we live in a world where we're being advertised to constantly, where people lie to us and con us into things that aren't helpful and aren't good for us. And so I genuinely wanted to create something that really was helpful to people without BSing them about it. And I'm very proud of what I've accomplished in this year. And I have so many more ideas of things to deliver for the future. So it's been a huge success. I am so thankful for the students that I have. If you're listening to this and you're one of my students, I'm so thankful for you. Thank you for being part of this and being in my life, giving me feedback, and making it a joy to teach what I know about songwriting and production. Some of the other things I learned. I was introduced to a guy named Brendan Burchard this year who kind of changed my life in a lot of ways. He's a biggie life coach, self-help guru, kind of like Tony Robbins. And I think he's a lot more practical than Tony Robbins stuff, even though Tony Robbins has a lot of really, really good stuff to say. And I really gravitated toward his information. I went to a conference of his. A friend of mine invited me to a conference back in April. And then I went to another one in Santa Clara, California in October. Was it August or October, something like that? The first one was all about high performance habits and becoming a higher performer in my life. It's something that I think I've always kind of strive to do that, but I never really knew how to do that. And he took it to a level that really, really, really helped me. So if you guys ever want to pick up the book, High Performance Habits, I think he gives it away for free on his website. If not, it's pretty cheap on Amazon. I'll put a link below. It's an amazing book. I actually haven't read the book. I went to the conference and did a lot of workshop stuff instead, but I have the book to read at some point. I'm going to read it. But it talks about these performance habits that really high performers do on a daily basis to succeed, to go places, to meet their goals. And there's a lot of overlap between a lot of different people on that. It's fascinating. It's one of the best conference I have ever been to. It's extremely motivating. And I went to it right before I went to Germany on a trip. And so I had a lot to think about while I was on my trip in Germany. But it really called attention to me taking better care of my health, to be a higher performer, taking care of my time, my energy, to get things done. And my priorities, how I work, my methodology, protecting my time, and building strategies and habits to do that. I haven't mastered any of that. I'm still a work in progress, but I've gotten a lot better at it. And I've seen improvement, especially in how much I get done and how focused I am and how happy I am. Oh my gosh, I've never been more happy than this year. It's been incredible how when you get organized and you find clarity, you find a lot of happiness in that as well. I hope that's a lesson to all of you guys. I'm sure most of you know that already, but it took me some time to figure that out. One of the things I also learned through that conference and just through a lot of teaching, I read a lot of books and a lot of podcasts now. I absorb a lot of information from people that are much more successful than I am and much more higher, I guess, thought leaders, you'd call them. And one of the big things I have learned is how important it is to break negativity out of your life. If you're with somebody that is causing you drama constantly, or friends or family or whatever, there's sometimes a time when you have to just pull the plug, not literally, but basically cut them out of your life because it's just tearing you down. It's not building you up, it is tearing you down. And I had to make that realization with some friends of mine, which was really, really hard to do because they're people that I really love, but I had to start backing off from seeing them as many times and as often because of the negativity that brought every time I was around them. Not only that were they negative, but it would bring out my negative side too. And after a while, we're stewing in this complaining mentality, which is never good, guys. I used to work for an engineering firm that I worked for 14 years. And one of the reasons, the biggest reason I left there is because it was so negative. It was the most negative environment I've ever been in. And man, I am so sick of that. I'm not going to go back to that. I will not go back to a negative environment. And so I had to really think about my friendships and think about some of the people in my life that just were always causing drama. We're always complaining. We're never happy. We're never satisfied with their stuff, and they just weren't going anywhere. And I had to start separating myself, not cutting them out of my life, but just spending a lot less time with them. So that I got really clear on that this year, and I'm continuing putting that into practice, and it's given me a lot more time and a lot less trauma, as it would. So that's been really good. I've also really been drawing more toward people that are higher performers in their life, totally different industry. You know, I love music, and that's the industry I'm in, both in songwriting, producing, and teaching. But I found that when I'm around other high performers that are just kicking ass and crushing it in their field, I want to be around them, and they inspire me, and I get ideas from them on how they are more effective at helping influence other people and teaching and helping and making the world a better place. And it's given me kind of a philosophy of life and help and leadership that I needed. I needed this kick. So it's really important to spend time and gravitate and call those people that are high influencers in your life and say, I want to know you more. Please hang out with me, and go to coffee with them or whatever you need to do, but be in their life. That's been so important to me. I highly recommend that. Another big thing I learned this year and really pursued was becoming more practical. That sounds kind of weird because it sounds like practicality is the opposite of dreaming. I don't believe that at all. I think when you dream with practicality, your dreams are much more likely to come true. I really am leery of woo people. You hear that term now. People that try to spiritualize every moment and everything. If that works for them, that's fine. I don't work that way, and I find that actually distracts me from really being more in line with how the universe works. And I'm not talking spiritual universe, I'm just talking about our physical laws and how people interact and what is here right now. I've become much more skeptical about a lot of things. And that's where I am. You don't have to be that way, but that's where I am. But it has really helped me. I have seen so many people just buy into lies, especially political lies, without doing a lot of thought because they have a narrative in which they want to believe. I grew up in a very, very, very spiritual Christian conservative community, and I've had to unwind some of those things. Not everything. Some of the stuff I learned was amazing, but some of the things were not based on reality. And I have had a struggle in getting myself out of that. And so I've gotten to the point where I love practicality. I love being a skeptic and not jumping at any time somebody says, hey, look, there's a ghost, there's a flat earth, there's a conspiracy, and learning to say, that's probably not right, and let's look at the facts of the situation. And I avoid a lot of dead-end roads in my life because of that. Nothing as drastic as flat earth theories, but anyway, I highly encourage you to be practical in your life. The world needs more skeptics, more science-based leaders. Okay, another thing I learned is I burned the boats. Now, what does that mean? Well, jumping into this field, into music has been extremely risky. I ended up having to sell a rental house so that I could provide for I sold a rental house this year so that I could just live off the income from that, from the assets of that. And all of this is because I don't want to go back to my engineering degree or my engineering job. I hated it. I just absolutely hated it. And there's nothing wrong with engineering. I was kind of envious of those that really loved it and could make something of it, but I just never could. And that might have been a lot because of me and my personality clashing with it. But I burned the boats. Now, what does that mean? Burning the boats is just an analogy. I can't remember where it came from, but it's a really cool analogy that when an army would, sail across the waters to go to another country to fight, after they'd get there, their generals and their leaders would burn their boats so they couldn't go back. So it was either go in, march into this new territory and own it and win it and crush it, or die. You can't go back. You don't have an option to go back. And I love that analogy. So I have kind of done that with my career. I've burned the boats, and to be honest, it's scary as hell. It's really scary, but it pushes me every day to work really, really hard. Another big thing I learned is how many lessons I'm learning through failing. I didn't meet all my goals. I had 3 main goals career-wise this year, and I met one of them. And I hate to say that because it sounds like I failed, but I really didn't. I didn't fail. I just didn't meet the 3 goals. I met one of them, and I don't want to tell you specifically what those are. Those are my personal goals, but I am very proud for trying as hard as I did and doing everything I can, and it's not over. And actually, I'm in way better position now with the lessons I've learned from that going into the next year to kick it even harder. So I'm really excited about that. The last thing one more thing on that. The other thing I learned about failure is there is a concept that there's a podcaster and bloggist named Seth Godin, and he's been interviewed many times. He was interviewed by Kathy Heller on her show. And he talks about the dip. The dip is when you're trying to go after something, doesn't matter what it is, there's often this time after a few months or whatever it is, a few years, whatever it takes, where you see the immediate results pretty quickly of whatever you're doing if you're having some success. And then there's a dip, and that dip is where most people leave. They take off because it gets too hard. And the dip is often when your enthusiasm wanes. You get very frustrated. You're not sure where you're going. You're not sure if you made the right decisions. And it's in that dip that Seth Godin really encourages you to embrace the dip and go after it and go, you know what? I'm going to take on this dip and I'm going to get through it. And because I get through it, many people will not stay with me and the competition will be less. Have you ever heard there's a great quote that says, there's less traffic in the extra mile. I can't remember who said, I think it was Maya Angelou that said that, but it's basically just saying, if you can go an extra mile and push a little further than the last person, you're going to have a lot less traffic, a lot less people to compete with in that new area. So getting through the dip has been I didn't think I'd hit the dip this year, but I did hit the dip. About in July, August, I hit a dip where I started getting very frustrated and feeling like a lot of my efforts weren't coming together as fast as I planned. And I had to really reflect a lot. And fortunately, I had those good teachers like Seth Godin to say, nope, stay with it. Stay with it. If you know this is a good idea, you need to refocus, stay with it, and it's going to be better on the other side. And I'm proud to say I'm coming out of that dip. In fact, I think I am out of the dip. Very excited for this next year. So the last thing I want to talk about is just how important it is to connect with other people. Synergy is so, so important, and I'm learning more and more about not doing everything alone. That's been a hard lesson for me. I'm a very independent person, and I've been burned a lot in my life, a lot, by people that I really loved and trusted. So I'm very cautious when I get involved with other people, even in collaborations. It takes a special person for me to finally trust and go, okay, I can lean on this person. but I'm finding how important it is to lean on somebody and to connect. I did a video a couple weeks ago all about the importance of connecting and collaborating with people, and I stand by that. I think it is extremely vital, and there's a lot of benefits to it. So those are some of the things I have been learning. I wanted to share that with you, and I want to leave you with one other idea. The other thing I have really learned, and this goes along with health, is the importance of meditation. I've been learning how to meditate. This is the first year I've ever tried that, and it is blowing me away how good that is. So that's a lesson for another video, but it's already been 15 minutes, so I'm going to cut this off. I love you guys. Next week, I want to talk about goals for the next year, and so I want you to start thinking about your goals. But if you've had lessons this year, please send me an email or a video. I love videos of just, even if it's quick, it doesn't have to be as long as this, but just saying, these are the things I learned this year. I would love, love, love to hear that. It means so much to me when I hear from you. I'll let you go. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.